world dominated by power, wealth, and control, few dare to defy the global order. But one man in the heart of Africa is doing just that. Ibrahim Traoré, Burkina Faso's youngest president, has become a symbol of African defiance. Loved by many, feared by more, his story is one of resistance, betrayal, and survival.
Our country has long been in a very complicated system. Most of you who are young like me, we were born into this system. But that's not what can allow Burkina to thrive. Because in this situation, there are only two cases. Either we accept to fight, or we remain slaves forever. I told you once, there are those who are slaves in their minds. They can only serve their master. And those people try every time to manipulate you. You must advise each other. Because every situation can be exploited by these enemies of the nation to try to discourage you, to demotivate you. So, you must advise each other and not pay attention to certain remarks, even on some media.
In 2022, the world turned its gaze toward Burkina Faso, a nation long forgotten by headlines, suddenly making noise. At just 34 years old, Captain Ibrahim Traoré rose to power through a second coup within a year. But unlike others, he didn't come to enrich himself. He came with a vision: reclaim Burkina Faso's sovereignty, end foreign control, and give power back to the people.
The end of France's decade-long mission against militants in the country. Ties between Burkina Faso and Russia could further strain relations with the former colonial power. In the aftermath of the coup, the French embassy in Ouagadougou was attacked by Traoré's supporters. Burkina Faso's junta had stoked the anti-French rioting, saying that France had sheltered Damiba at a military base. France denied this. Traoré, now on a crash course in diplomacy, downplayed the link between Damiba and France and called an end to the protests. But about ties to Russia, he was vague.
You will hear about the African Union. Yes, it exists. But what is the effect of the African Union in reality? We cannot talk about integration in the theme and not talk about the African Union. Because it is this organization that should unite us, create real integration. But we regret to see these wars that persist on the African continent, killing millions of young people. And that this organization, which has heads of state, with armies, is unable to organize itself to support certain countries. The Union is not just a word. The Union is a symbol. And we, the youth, should learn a lesson from this situation to unite, to make integration a reality. I was unpleasantly surprised when Ethiopia, which hosts the headquarters of the African Union, was experiencing a conflict. And when I saw the Prime Minister put on a military uniform.
Sources close to the presidency reveal a chilling plot. A bodyguard, trusted and close, was approached with a bribe, $5 million. The mission: eliminate President Traoré. The soldier refused. Loyalty triumphed. But the message was clear: enemies of Traoré would stop at nothing.
It's independence. He is defying a decades-long tradition where African wealth props up foreign economies. By rejecting that model, he invites both admiration from Pan-Africanists and opposition from international stakeholders. You can't talk about Captain Ibrahim Traoré without mentioning Thomas Sankara, the revolutionary leader who once renamed Upper Volta to Burkina Faso, meaning land of upright people. Sankara also pushed for local control of resources, rejected IMF loans, and cut the salaries of top officials, including his own. His vision was of a self-sufficient Africa, proud, independent, and united. But in 1987, that vision was cut short. Sankara was assassinated in a coup many believe had foreign fingerprints. Today, Traoré is walking a similar path, and the global reaction is chillingly familiar. When a young African leader dares to prioritize his people and control national wealth, the old powers start circling again. Western narratives about Africa haven't changed. The media constantly portrays independent African leaders as strongmen, dictators, or military juntas, while ignoring the will of the people behind them. Captain Traoré's rise wasn't some self-serving power grab. It came from a failing system, supported by the youth and the people who were tired of foreign-dominated leadership.
Months after the betrayal attempt, another mystery struck. After a high-level diplomatic dinner, Traoré reportedly fell gravely ill. He vanished from the public eye. No official statement. Was it fatigue or something far darker? Medical insiders suggest he may have been poisoned. No one was charged. No investigation opened. The silence says everything.
Let's stay focused. And if we need to say it, we are not in a democracy. We are indeed in a revolution, progressive, popular. Everyone needs to understand that. And it's even more surprising that those who are supposed to be the intellectuals who went to school, one might imagine that a country can develop in democracy. That's false. When you cite a single country that developed in democracy, it's not possible. Democracy is only the culmination. We inevitably go through a revolution, and we are indeed in a revolution. For those who hadn't understood, we say it again, yes, loudly. Everyone needs to incorporate this. And our role to communicate, to explain, to make people understand what our revolution is, we will continue to play it. So, this question of democracy or libertinism, of action or expression, has no place. I said it once, as much as you think you are free to speak and act, the other is free to speak and act as well. And there we end up with a society of disorder. And as it happens, it is fitting that we are in the midst of celebrating patriotic days. The theme is indeed order and discipline. We do not make a revolution in disorder. It is impossible. And order, we will enforce order and discipline so that we can progress. Because social, economic, political, ideological reforms need order and discipline. And everyone has a role to play in this. So, embrace the revolution, because many people, for the past 2 years, have boarded the ship out of opportunism. We are surfing on giant waves. We are in the storm. We are facing very strong headwinds. Those people, they will never be able to stay in the boat. Gradually, they will fall into the water and you will see them.
But why is the West so concerned about one man? Traoré ended French military presence. He terminated exploitative mining contracts. He opened the door to new alliances with Russia and China. In Western media, he's painted as a threat. But to Africans, he's a liberator. This is the battle for Africa's soul. And Traoré is on the front line.
Steps have been initiated. Perhaps slow for some, but we must proceed slowly and surely. Because the educational system we are in is deeply focused on a system that produces more graduates rather than people capable of working and generating wealth. Unfortunately, that's the observation, but we are hard at work to first change the school infrastructures and adapt them, modernize them. Secondly, the curricula and the instructional program need to be changed. Little by little, we want to shift from general education to technical and vocational education. This transition is underway, and it will take some time for us to reach the standards we desire. All sectors will be addressed in the field of education, and that's why the Initiative for Quality Education for All was created. And already the first stone. The modern centers we desire have been initiated and construction will continue throughout the year 2025. Comrades, in the field of administration, as you have witnessed, the recent trial, the embezzlement of funds from our administration shows how much our administration is not in line with current aspirations. Also, the procedures are obsolete. That is why many measures are being taken to make this administration functional again, as we desire.
Despite the threats, Traoré presses forward. He's investing in food self-sufficiency, arming the people for defense, training the next generation to fight ignorance and dependency. His message is clear: Africa must rise from its knees.
Established in this regard, and we will work to ensure that by January it is operational, and that citizens can report cases of misconduct and dysfunction in our administration. We will continue in this direction to be able to rectify, but also to introduce digitalization into the administration, to be able to effectively fight against corruption. Because as long as the procedures are not digitized, the processing times for files will always be long, and corruption will persist. The public service is therefore instructed to change the pace to be able to integrate a certain number of jobs, so that certain people who were under contract within the administration can be integrated effectively and have a career plan. We will continue many reforms in this area until our country becomes a country of reform.
Le message à l'endroit de toutes les femmes, c'est les encourager à continuer à se battre. Elles sont des battantes, en témoin celles qui travaillent ici, qui passent toute la nuit à garder leur champ. Ce n'est pas facile avec tous les problèmes qu'on a pu suivre. Et c'est valable pour toutes les femmes du Burkina Faso. Nous passons un peu partout, nous suivons. Nous mettrons tout en œuvre pour les permettre d'atteindre leurs objectifs, de s'émanciper et de pouvoir jouir pleinement de leurs activités. Donc c'est bonne fête à toutes les femmes et que le combat qu'elles mènent pour leur émancipation puisse aboutir et que nous puissions les accompagner pour qu'elles atteignent leurs objectifs. Et c'est où vous puisez là?
Oh, il y avait un début. Donc à quel côté? Donc elle part juste à 1 kilomètre. Pour avoir l'homme du barrage.
Et puiser là-bas pour amener ici. Wow. Elle part puiser avec quoi? Il y a des possibilités de fourrer quand même. Il n'y a pas un bas-fond plus proche ici qu'on peut peut-être transformer en retenue d'eau ou quelque chose.
Ici, là où elle puise l'eau, là. On peut, elle m'avait demandé même ça.
Ok. Ok. Ça, c'est le haricot simple. En tout cas, on est très contents et je pense que on va venir payer l'oignon là aussi. Et puis vos haricots verts, les haricots verts produits au Burkina.
Like Thomas Sankara before him, Traoré walks a dangerous path. A hero to millions, a target to empires. Will he survive the storm, or will history write his name in blood and bravery? Either way, the African spirit, once awakened, cannot be silenced.
To improve living and working conditions, the actors in this world that I mentioned, the 4 domains mainly that I just cited. The other layers, it will come gradually. That is why we have launched several initiatives, both in the agricultural field, in education, health, and also in community development. And through these educational initiatives, we want to build our schools, our major schools here. Train our elites so that they can serve the Burkinabe. That is why I would say to you to go all out so that we can establish these elite schools. There, so that these brains do not end up outside. Because for a long time, imperialists have always drawn brains from here, through scholarships. Once they are there, they no longer return to the country. I do not want these brains that are here to end up outside and not serve our country. Ensure that these initiatives succeed, and that we can establish the polytechnic and technological universities we need, so that these children can express all their talents and work for the benefit of our homeland. This is our mission. And finally, to the brave defense and security forces, to the volunteers for the defense of the homeland, I thank you.
This is more than one man's story. This is the awakening of a continent. And Ibrahim Traoré is just the beginning.